Namaskar, scholars. Today I'm going to be discussing the benefits and the effects that I've noticed of applying a daytime and a nighttime essential oil. The two oils that I chose for this experiment were Bergamot, I don't know if you can read that label, Bergamot, and Eucalyptus. And with eucalyptus, there's several varietals. This particular one is Eucalyptus globulus, which I particularly find pleasing to the physiology, which is why I chose to use this oil for this experiment. In the duration of the experiment, I noticed that as I was using bergamot right before bed and eucalyptus right in the morning, eucalyptus I did notice to have an enlivening effect on my physiology. I found it easier to wake up in the mornings, and it has this bright quality to it, almost a sharp kind of minty quality to it. And I noticed whenever that hits the olfactory sense, in my experience, it really enlivens my mind. It really brightens my mood and helps me to arise easily out of bed. The bergamot has a richer, kind of earthier tone, as well as a citric quality to it. And I actually found that it was not helpful for me personally in trying to get myself to bed. So the suggestion was that we use one of these oils, and then one of these oils at the morning and one of these oils at night, and then we just reflect on our physiology, reflect on what it is that it does, how it affects us, how we feel, and these subtle qualities are what guides the application of aromatherapy specifically. Even more specific is Maharishi aromatherapy. Maharishi really emphasizes the application of pleasantness in yogic terms of sattvic qualities. Sattvic qualities are pleasing to the senses and are pleasing to the physiology and have positive effects on the physiology, which we can notice just by simply observing. When I applied the bergamot, what I did is I just put it onto a cotton swab and a cotton ball, and I inhaled for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then if I woke up in the night, I would take the cotton ball and continue to inhale. However, I noticed that it was just like the eucalyptus has kind of a bright quality to it. I noticed that bright quality in bergamot as well. I noticed that it was one of the oils that was recommended both for the morning and for the night. And I think that bergamot for my physiology personally has a better effect for the morning, because I tend to notice that bright quality, and that bright quality I associate with the morning, with getting up, with enlivening the mind rather than settling the mind. And so I noticed for the week that I was using the bergamot that it was actually awakening me more than it was settling me. So after the first couple of days, I chose to switch over to a lavender, and the lavender I noticed had a extremely soothing effect on my physiology. And once I would inhale the lavender, I have a tendency to wake up a lot in the night, and sometimes I can't fall back asleep. And I noticed whenever I was applying the lavender that I had a very easy time settling myself back and going right to sleep. So I'm super grateful I did this experiment just to understand how to use these oils and understand my own physiology as well as have a tool now whenever I'm experiencing insomnia to know, okay, maybe I can use my lavender and see how that works on my physiology. Through the week 3 webinar, I learned some of the cautionary things we have to be aware of whenever we are using these oils. Eucalyptus globulus, I have already mentioned, is extremely pleasant to me and extremely pleasant to my physiology. However, I learned that it is not beneficial it can be not beneficial to those with asthma. And rather than experiment and see if it's beneficial to those with asthma, better to just apply an oil that has similar qualities, that has similar benefits, but doesn't have that contraindication, that is not going to induce an asthma attack. So that was a super important thing that I learned this week in the webinar. Without further ado, thank you for your presence. Namaste.